Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Harry, and this is
Radiant Blur.
and we're back answering your community questions, guys. And this room is called Rec Room Birthday 4. So if you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you guys do to celebrate Rec Room's birthday. So what do you think about this room overall?
It makes me feel very celebrated.
So I thought it'd be a really cool room to start off AMA with you guys. And if you guys don't know, Radiant Blur is one of the co-founders of Rec Room. And how are you doing today with everything going on? Are you doing good?
Doing as well as I can. Excited to talk about some creative features, UGC features. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so looking forward to getting into some of these great questions that we've got.
Yeah, there's some really great questions, and yeah, let's get into it. Are you ready for this?
All right.
Our first set of questions comes from Media Zero and Lazy Seal. They ask, when will we have the option to change our dorm rooms more, such as changing the skybox, sunlight, adding smoke, and the option to have AI in the dorm rooms? And will we have the option to save more than one dorm room? And then the other question is, a option to recolor dorm room walls.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's a good one. It's a little bit happy and a little bit sad. It's good because it's a reminder of just how much pride you all take in the decoration and personal style of your dorm rooms. I'm thinking of the dorm room tour videos that you guys do.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's really awesome to see. The bummer part of this is that back when we were first building all those moods chips for Sunset Drive-In, we had planned to go back and update the dorm room to support those chips. But shortly after we shipped Sunset, we got so busy with circuits and AI that all that stuff went into the backlog. There's a lot of really good suggestions here, being able to recolor, put smoke in your dorm room and have AIs running around. Certainly when you can do more with AIs, like build a little Roomba or your own friendly little companions, it's going to be important that we support that stuff in there. So I think the team will take a look into what it might take to do another pass on customizability for the dorm room. And that could be a future update that we would focus on. So great suggestions and ideas there.
Our next question comes from Forbium. He asks, can we please have a radio that plays music without the roll-off, controllable volume, and maybe even possibly to switch between clips and chips between the Golden Trophy Explorer and Golden Trophy Combat?
Oh man, that's such a good use case. Something that we talk about on the UGC team quite a bit is kind of the dream is that you, as creators, could build something of a fidelity like the quests that we've shipped, and we're moving in that direction. We're not there yet, but that's a really good example of one that is something that you just can't do. So we have our Explore music that runs as you're walking around, and when you encounter enemies, it switches over to combat music. That's something we've talked about internally and something we're looking at right now. I really like the suggestion, though, of handling it via the radio. Maybe putting an extra parameter on the radio to have it be 2D versus 3D and adjust the volume. Because radios are something that creators are already familiar with and comfortable using. Feels like a really natural place to add some of that flexibility in there. Imagine there's like a boombox playing the music in the background because you're in the theater department doing a quest.
Snox_R asks, hello, is it possible to have more than one font in the text tool? For example, Western, futuristic, or fantasy?
Oh, that's a great question. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure how to answer it. I could see a couple ways to approach this one. One way is that the text tool as is provides a nice simple way to communicate. But like you pointed out, it doesn't offer much in terms of style. It's just very basic. So I could see us giving some more alternatives for you to work with. But another part of me wonders whether that would really scratch the creative itch. At the end of the day, whatever we chose for, say, futuristic, might not be a great fit for the futuristic room you built. And some of the coolest font work I've seen in Rec Room is when creators highly personalize their own signage to fit their own style. Honestly, not quite sure to do this one. Even if we did provide some alternatives for people to work with, that wouldn't stop you from making your own style anyway. So I'll get this in front of our art director to ponder. It's a really good question.
That is a great question. Thank you so much for the question, Snox. Our next question comes from Lazy Seal Sunken. Will we ever get something like a live camera that we can place in the map and place a screen somewhere on the watch with the camera setting? It would be so useful for a lot of maps like Five Nights at Freddy or prison role plays. It can be a great replacement for the very limited and expensive ink.
Oh, that is such a cool idea.
Yeah, that's such a unique idea.
We already have something conceptually similar to this with the paintball rifle scope. So the idea that we could expose something like that as a more flexible UGC feature isn't crazy.
Oh, really?
That said, it would likely it would likely come with some limitations on resolution and frame rate, but all that is stuff that we'd have to work out through prototypes. At a high level, though, that seems like a really cool creative tool that people could come up with lots of fun mechanics for.
Yeah. You guys are really thinking outside the box this time on that one.
Yeah, I think, the RC car controller uses a screen with a camera on it, so there's totally something there.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, keep them, guys. Thank you so much for the creative questions. Yeah, keep them coming. We really love hearing about them. All right, next question comes from Forbium. He asks, when Circuits V2 comes out, a lot of existing rooms, Circuits would benefit from upgrading to Circuits V2. Is there any hope for a semi-automatic system for converting existing circuits to Circuits version 2?
Cool. So the honest answer on this one is we don't know 100% for certainty yet. The current plan to roll out Circuits V2 is to make it a parallel version that works independent from V1. So if your rooms are built on V1, those rooms will continue to function and you can continue working with V1 if that's all you need. But we want to utilize, if you want to utilize V2 functionality specifically, you'll have to build with those chips. That said, we're not hard locked into this approach. And if there's a specific area of implementation where you feel that a semi-automatic conversion might help you out a lot, we'd love to hear about it. But as a general rollout approach, we're not planning to have any semi-automatic conversions.
All right, our next question comes from Twisted Bagels. Are you a fan of bagels, by the way, Radiant?
I've really only done the store-bought stuff, so I feel like I should probably experience some real bagels.
When will hand-holding come out?
Oh yeah, hand-holding.
Wow, that's so awesome.
That got put on hold a few months back, since we're currently working out some updates to how hand controls work for our non-VR players specifically. Hand-holding started out as a passion project for one of our programmers, and she really still wants to get it to happen. So stay tuned once we wrap up this next phase of hands for non-VR players, and I think it'll be into a point where we can get it ready to go.
Another forebrain question. There are many semi-transparent props that are used in strange ways, glass and water. Could we have an option to color the invincible collision gadgets in a similar way?
Oh man, thanks for being so patient on this one. I know this comes up at every AMA, and I've said many times that we really want to build the feature. It's clearly something that creators get a lot of value out of, even though they have to use some pretty inventive workarounds to get it. Giving creators a supported way to use transparent materials is still high on our list. And the supported version is likely to be a material in your palette that you can apply to shapes and then even tint with the recolor tool. I know our art team is really excited to build it. Still no dates to announce yet though, unfortunately. So thanks again for being patient. Until then, gigantic martini glasses and buttons.
We could all use one of those. The person's 23. He asks, okay, 2 questions. I've been hearing rumors of an Infinite Ink update and waiting to hear if that's true. And will we ever get something like transparent textures like glass and semi-transparent water textures?
Okay, so if you've been hearing about an Infinite Ink update, that's definitely not something we can deliver on anytime soon. What we will say though is that we'll continue to push to find ways that we can reduce ink cost of various features in your rooms and effectively give you more ink to work with over time. So what you might be thinking about that we've talked about before is a change we're making to Circuits V2 and their ink footprint. Today in Circuits, anytime you add a chip into your map, it has an ink cost associated with it. But a change that we want to make with Circuits V2 and that we're implementing right now is that just adding chips and hooking up your logic doesn't actually have, or it has near zero ink cost there. And instead we represent that cost as a runtime cost of executing the chips. And that's just a limit on how many things you can run at once rather than a limit on how much logic you can have in your room at all. So we're expecting a substantial bump to ink specifically for people who use a lot of circuits in their map. And that'll be in the near future. And then in the not too distant future, we're also looking at reworking and optimizing the way we're rendering shapes. And we hope to get another substantial bump out of to the ink limits there. But that's more speculative and farther out.
All right.
So yeah, definitely no infinite ink coming anytime soon. But we'll be continually working to increase the amount of ink that you have to work with in your rooms for sure.
For Better Isaac asks, I'm not completely sure if this fits the theme, but are there plans to upgrade the Ink gadget, possibly giving it the ability to link to content outside Rec Room like websites or songs on Spotify?
That's something that we'll continue to evaluate as Rec Room grows and evolves, and we see more ways in which people want to integrate the app into their social lives. I know there have been times after an intense couple hours playing where I just kind of want to unwind and do something more low-key, but I'm not ready to turn Rec Room off yet. Listening to music is a great example there. Sometimes when we feel like a feature or a category is something that we want to learn about and see where it provides value, we'll do a limited minimal version to let users test it out and give us feedback. So pretty recently we've put out a pretty bare bones way to share your desktop screen or audio through a speaker. And we're still looking at what our next steps are there. So nothing to announce on that one, but it's something we'll continue to look at.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the question there. Dingboys01, he asks, will the Oculus Quest ever support the community board in dorm room and the rec center?
This one is still an unknown. We currently have a team working on updating our new UI system, and you can see early versions of it in the club section of the watch. And we'll be slowly rolling that out to other areas as we develop features. This new UI is a lot more performance, specifically not having transparency like the watch does. So we'll be able to reevaluate the community board once that tech is ready. No promises, but it's definitely good to know that people on Quest want the community boards.
Razel asks, could we please have the ability to use the internet radio feeds in our rooms? You could insert the feed address as in a sampler, and the streaming would happen in client-side meetings, so no extra strain on your servers.
Yeah, this is a lot like the link buttons idea. It's definitely a cool idea, and we might eventually evolve the audio sharing speaker to include a more variety of sources, but still no concrete plans to share there. Certainly seems cool though.
Thank you so much for the question, Raziel. KinGamer06 asks, will we ever be able to give proper rewards with rooms?
This is a good one. Not sure what this person means by proper, but there's a ton I could say on this topic because it touches on a really large category for creators. So I can at least share a bit about what we're doing in the near term and then where we hope to take things in more long term. So as you might have noticed, we started recently a program for a limited ability for creators to accept tokens in exchange for their inventions. This is starting with a very small set of creators with curated inventions. But the idea there is that we eventually want to shore up that system well enough that we could expand it out to something that any creator could use in their rooms. It's been incredibly, we started with inventions because they're incredibly flexible in terms of what they are, and creators themselves can decide what they want to sell. In the near term, those exchanges only involve tokens and only for inventions, but we want to broaden that range to include even more flexible pieces for creators to work with over time. So as an example, as a player in Rec Room, tokens are something that you really only get from us, and creators will have the option to accept tokens in their rooms, but they might want to offer their players an alternative to spending tokens in their rooms, just like we do in some of ours. So a small example of this would be in laser tag. It takes time and dedication to earn enough tickets to complete a laser tag set. Quests are another example, is like, even if you had tokens coming out of your ears, the only way to get the high-end gear is through time and dedications, and the players that unlock that stuff take a lot of pride in having that unlocked. So stuff like that is a bit of a longer way out for creators, but it's exciting to think about, and I've definitely had creators mention to us like, oh, I wish I could have gold in my room or tickets or something like that, so that they can kind of dial in their own engagement loops for their rooms. All that stuff is in the works, but it's a lot more in the long-term plans. We're currently focused on selling inventions for tokens specifically, learning what we can about that, and folding those learnings into the more general things we want to do later. Oh, and another important thing too is that these are all scoped within a room itself. So currently this does not include, if what they meant by proper is, you know, a item that you could wear anywhere in Rec Room, that's currently not our plans. We're always open to reevaluate that decision, and it could change over time, but for the foreseeable future, these would be things that happen within the scope of your rooms.
That we would be asking, like, what does that mean? But thank you so much for clearing that up. That really means a lot. Thank you. Our next question comes from Forbumask. Textures of materials on tube scale with geometry. Is this intentional? Will it ever be fixed? And will the fix affect already existing rooms?
All right, so I checked with our art director on this one, and they confirmed that it is indeed unintended. But the important thing there, as we look at this as a team, is intentional or not, we recognize that creators are getting a tremendous amount of value out of that behavior as it exists. So the honest answer here is that when we set out to improve and expand what creators can do with tubes, we want to approach this one with care. Will it be fixed? That's TBD. But our general philosophy, especially for something where creators really love and value what they have, is to do our best to provide a supported alternative if that feature were to go away. And if the change we make has an impact on the visual outcomes, we would strive to make it in a way that it doesn't change what creators have already done in their rooms. This is another example of a specific way where we're trying to get better as a team to improve on how we roll out new UGC features. And one of the principles that we say to ourselves is that, hey, our tools can change over time. The things you can build with them might change, but the content you've already built that's in your rooms, that's yours. And we really, really don't want to mess it up. We will always do that perfectly, but it's something that we explicitly are trying to make true.
Our last question comes from Pigs in Tuxedos. That is such a great name, by the way. He asks, are vehicles going to be added ever?
Ever?
Yeah,
yes,
ever.
We certainly hope so. We definitely hope so. And I think it's going to be a game changer when it happens, honestly.
Yeah.
For someone who just plays Rec Room, it's really exciting to have those experiences with your friends and to get that kind of additional gameplay layer. And then when I think about it from the eyes of a creator and what vehicles do and all the possibilities that opens up, it really starts to expand the scope of ideas that you can tackle. The ability to cover a large amount of ground quickly has a big impact on how it feels to move around and the kinds of interactions you can create in a gigantic room.
Absolutely.
And also, crashing and going off of jumps and flipping over, all that stuff is going to be awesome.
That's gonna be insane. I've seen people do their own like trick shot videos with vehicles. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, wow.
It's like a high-speed crash simulator.
Oh my gosh. Recreation of speed. Oh my god, please.
Oh, with the bus, physics-defying bus jumps.
Yeah. I can see people just doing something like that.
We have yet to discover whether it's, people talk about roller coasters as well, or skateboards.
Oh yes.
Is that vehicles? Is it not vehicles? That's something we would learn as we build it. But maybe some of these ideas are actually both. Like there's a film set that is the bus from Speed, and everybody gets on the bus from Speed, and it's technically a roller coaster, but you're in a vehicle jumping across the broken highway.
All right. Well, that concludes all our questions from the latest AMA from the community there. Any closing thoughts with you, Radiant Blur?
It's good to be back. It's been a long time since I did one of these, and man, we love our creative community, and it's awesome to hear your questions. We don't always have dates or times that you can get excited for new features, but even then, it's exciting to talk through all this stuff.
Oh, absolutely, and we're so happy to have you back. And again, guys, please leave a like, comment, subscribe for everything Rec Room. Please stay safe out there. I know we're going through a hard time, but make sure to wash your hands, and we'll catch you guys later in the next AMA. Bye for now, everyone. Guys. Take care, everybody. Do you want to go fishing, Radiant Blur? That sounds good?
Sounds good. I'll fish with this giant sword here.
Oh, the giant sword? Okay, I'm going to take a swim instead then.